Alright. Okay, finally ready to do this Mega Man 8 review. Want to do this for a long time. Finally have everything I need. It's time to do some research. Let's get to it. That son of a bitch. You, sir! Have some choice words for you. Hey, nice to meet you. What just happened? Whew. Oh. Well, that was a fun convention. I think CADDICARUS is scared of me now, though. So that's a thing. I think my hair's getting a little long. I think I need a shower. Oh, that feels so much better. Oh, hey guys. Welcome back to Zero's Maverick Hunting. Today we're going to be talking about Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn. Might seem a little odd to do Mega Man for this, since he's not really obscure or underappreciated, but Mega Man 8's kind of a weird game in the series, and I've wanted to talk about it for a while. I've had my PlayStation copy for a really long time, but I wanted to get my hands on the Sega Saturn version before I talked about it. Luckily, a friend is lending me this game, so I can now finally compare and contrast and give you guys my full opinion on Mega Man 8. But before all that, we need to recap. Before we dive into Mega Man 8, let's take a quick moment to talk about Mega Man 7. 8 years ago, I revitalized my reviews with Zero's Maverick Hunting and reviewed Mega Man 7. At that time, Mega Man 7 was still considered a black sheep of the franchise. However, people's opinions have changed. Now Mega Man 7 is a more celebrated game with people actually playing it and giving it a chance. Of course, this also means its rarity has gone up, and it is now rivaling even Earthbound in price. That being said, while it wasn't available on Virtual Console, or as a downloadable game in the PlayStation Store like the previous 6 games were, it did eventually become more accessible by being included in the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, alongside Mega Man's 8, 9, and 10. Still kinda surprised Mega Man and Bass wasn't included in there, but who knows, it might have its own compilation coming. The point I wanted to make is people's tastes have changed to accept a game that Bruntelfloss once said sucked dinosaur balls. So the question remains, what about Mega Man 8? If even 8 years ago Mega Man 7 was considered a black sheep, I don't know what you'd call Mega Man 8. The first game in the OG series available on PlayStation and Sega Saturn, it had an uphill battle with a lot of competition. Hell, it basically competed against the X-Series games on the platforms as well. However, it also had the distinction of being the 10th anniversary game for the series, which helped. I got my copy of Mega Man 8 on the PlayStation a little while after getting Mega Man X4 and Mega Man X5, so I didn't have the game at launch. And as for the Saturn version, well, a friend of mine was kind enough to lend me his anniversary collector's edition of the game. So thanks, Ryan! For this review, I'll be playing the Saturn version and the PS4 version available on Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. I've also posted a full playthrough of the Saturn version on my Let's Play channel, links in the description. Anyways, let's get on with the game. The game starts off with a new addition to the series, cutscenes. Before we even get to the title screen, you're greeted with an animated intro sequence that shows many of Mega Man's past battles from the previous games. It's a nice little treat for longtime fans of the series, and a perfect way to cap off this being an anniversary game. When the title screen comes up, you'll have the basic choices of New Game, Continue, or Options. And if you're playing the Collector's Edition, you'll have a bonus section, but we'll come back to that later. When you start a new game, you'll be shown another cutscene, which shows two robots fighting in space. And then cut to Mega Man and Bass battling in a city. Okay, I can't avoid it any longer. Much like Mega Man X4's animated cutscenes, the cutscenes in Mega Man 8 are fully voiced in English, and it's terrible. Mega Man sounds way too young and high-pitched, and Bass sounds generic. And don't get me started on Dr. Light. Not only is he barely comprehensible, he's making flubs and mistakes, and they just left them in.
I don't know where this energy came from, but you cannot let it fall into Dr. Wily's hands. You must recover all the energy immediately, Mega Man.
But where is Dr. Wily?
That's a good question. We may be able to locate another energy emission from the radar room. When we find that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wily.
Roll also sounds generic, and Rush sounds like he's dying. Anyways, after that cutscene, we get an intro stage, much like Mega Man 7. This is where we can first see the differences with this game and the previous ones. Mega Man controls slightly differently in this game than he did in the previous games. He still jumps, shoots, slides, and mega busts, but it feels different. Probably the most notable change is the jumping. Due to stronger hardware, Mega Man has more fluid animation, with more frames to work with. However, this also means his jump has changed. Now he has to lead into every jump, whereas in previous games, he just jumped. This can be a bit to get used to as it changes how jumping works. It's hard to put into words, so it's something you'll have to experience for yourself. Another gameplay change you'll come across is the bolt system. The bolts are back from Mega Man 7, but they work differently this time. There's still currency which you can use in the shop, however, they are now collectible, and it's not something enemies drop. Because of this, it is impossible to get every item in the shop, so you need to think very carefully about what items you want, since there are only 40 bolts in total in the entire game. The game also introduced a new type of weapon, with the Mega Ball. The Mega Ball is a bomb that Mega Man can kick and use to bounce off walls, and to use as sort of a bouncing off point when reaching higher places. Funny enough, I only recently learned that the Mega Ball can be used in this way, so it's not necessary to complete the game, but it makes it way easier to get through. Another new mechanic is swimming. Like in previous games in the series, Mega Man 8 does contain some underwater segments. In the previous games, the only thing the water did was increase your jump height and slow down some movements. While that hasn't changed, Mega Man can also now swim by tapping the jump button. This is a much faster way to get through these stages, but much like swimming in other games, the controls are a little floaty. Once you've made it to the end of the stage, you'll have a crab bot to fight which is weak to the Mega Ball, so this will give you some good practice with it. After that battle, we see Wily, who's one of the only good voices in this game, making off with some kind of purple orb. At the same time, Mega Man finds one of the space robots stuck in a crater and contacts Dr. Light to bring him back to the lab for examination. From here, we've got the Robot Masters, and like Mega Man 7, only 4 are available at the beginning. However, a nice change is that you can revisit the intro stage should you need to go back and get some of the collectibles you may have missed. The first 4 bosses are Grenade Man, whose stage is all about box puzzles and explosions, Clown Man, who lives in a toy factory filled with throwbacks to previous games, Tengu Man, who lives in the sky and has different background music based on which version you're playing, and Frost Man, who has the obligatory ice level complete with everyone's favorite part of the game, the snowboarding segments. Honestly, these first few bosses are not that tough, though if you're a beginner, I'd recommend starting with either Frost Man or Grenade Man, the latter which will give you the rush cycle for beating the mini-boss, which Mega Man uses to ride Rush, shut up Rye Guy, so he can make greater distance jumps, and just to move through a stage faster. Also, the flash bombs are one of the most useful weapons in the game, and pro tip, Mega Ball works great on the early mini-bosses. Before we go on, I want to touch on Tengu Man's stage again. First off, like I mentioned, the music in each version is different. Here, have a listen. Personally, while I'm nostalgic for the PlayStation's version, I much prefer the version on the Saturn. Actually, all songs sound better on the Saturn. The Saturn version uses PCM sounds, while the PlayStation version uses MIDI sound. It just sounds so much fuller on the Saturn, if that makes any sense. This stage also gives us our first look at the Rush Jet shoot-'em-up stages. Mega Man rides Rush, shut up Rye Guy, and can move around the screen and shoot. He can also get his other pals as power-ups to add to his arsenal, with Rush's Tri-Shot, Beat's Charge Dive, Otto's Mega Missile, and Eddie's Ball Bomb. Once you defeat the 4 Robot Masters, you'll be treated to another cutscene with bad voiceovers, in which Duo, the space robot, will escape Light's lab, and Mega Man will have to go after him. Here's one of the differences between the Saturn and PlayStation versions. In both versions, there's an upper area that leads to a bolt. However, in the Saturn version, you'll have to battle against Cutman, with remixed music to earn the bolt. Well, you'll just find the bolt in the PlayStation version. After that, you'll go off against Duo, who isn't too tough. Just as Mega Man is about to find out who he is, Proto Man jumps in to make sure Mega Man is alright, and Duo escapes. Gee, thanks, Proto Man!
Thanks a lot, bro!
And then one of the most annoying cutscenes in the game plays, in which Duo has to save Mega Man from Wily's machine.
Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Unfortunately, Wily's fortress is protected by a strong force field, and the only way to lower the shield is to defeat 4 more Robot Masters for some reason, and Duo heads off to find more of the Evo NOG. The later 4 Robot Masters are a little more challenging. We've got Swordman, whose stage is a pain in the ass, Astroman, whose stage is a pain in the ass, Aquaman, who's also a handsome guy, and Searchman, whose stage contains an extra boss fight against Woodman, if you're playing the Saturn version. These guys are much tougher than the first 4 Robot Masters, and while his stage is a load of ass, I recommend Swordman first since he's not too difficult to dodge, and flash bombs tend to work well on him. Also, the stage mini-boss gives you the Rush Bomber. More on that later. Once these 4 Robot Masters are defeated, we finally make our way to Wily Fortress. However, before we go into the stages, let's talk about the shop. It's back from Mega Man 7 and has various power-ups for Mega Man. There's a standard life upgrade from 2 to 4 on continuing, stage exit, which allows exiting stages you've already completed, and the energy equalizer, which stores weapon energy pickups dropped by enemies to restore weapon energy. New additions to the shop include the Laser Shot, which turns Mega Man's Charge Blast into a powerful laser beam, the Arrow Shot, which turns into several smaller shots on impact, the 5x Blaster, which gives you stronger blaster power, the Auto Charge, which continues to shoot shots while charging, and probably the most useful items, the Step Booster, which makes going up ladders lightning fast, and the Power Shield, which stops Mega Man from being pushed back when getting hit. Choosing items might be difficult since you only get 40 bolts. You won't be able to get all the items, so choose wisely. Okay, now on to the hard part, Wily Fortress 1. This stage starts off with a port segment, with our friends returning. Once you're through that segment, there is a platforming section with precise thundercloth swinging, and then finally the boss. And oh boy, this one is a doozy. This is Atetemino, the hardest boss in the game. Why is it the hardest boss in the game? Where do I begin? First off, the only weapons that deal damage to this boss are the Mega Ball and the Rush Bomber, since they are the only weapons that can reach it. The hard part is that there are only certain positions in the boss room where you can aim your shots. On top of that, it resets its position once its pattern runs through. You can use the Rush Charger to get health refills, however, it leaves it up to RNG, and not only that, the item drops can get stuck at the top of the screen, so it's not the best thing to rely on. With a little luck and patience, this boss is beatable. Just keep at it, and if it's giving you too much trouble, I don't think anyone would blame you for turning on extra armor mode. I did, for the PS4 version, even though I did just fine in the Saturn version. The next stage contains a rush shoot 'em up segment that contains some damn Buster style bullshit. The boss is actually a really cool fight you do in shoot 'em up mode. It's not a difficult battle, but it's cool nevertheless. Wily Fortress Stage 3 contains 2 boss battles. First off, against Bass. He uses his super adapter to fight you. It's a fun fight, but this brings up 2 main issues I have with Mega Man 8. Bass is barely in the game, and is more of an afterthought to the story. Considering how important he was to the plot of the previous game, I figured he'd be a big player in this one, but nope, he takes a backseat to the Evo NOG. Also, where the hell is Mega Man's super adapter? It was very prevalent in Mega Man 6 and 7, but it's nowhere in Mega Man 8. We know they have sprites of it because it was in Mega Man at base, so what the hell? I'm going to assume that it was probably left out because the game would be too easy, because outside the first Wily stage, the game isn't too difficult. Anyways, the second boss of this level is against the Green Devil, who's basically an easier upgrade from the Yellow Devil from Mega Man 1 and 3. After that, we get the final stage of Wily Fortress, and are off to the boss gauntlet. Finally, it's time to take on Wily, except Mega Man gets stuck in a net made from the Evo Energy. Just as it looks like Wily is going to destroy Mega Man with his laser, Duo steps in to deflect the blast, but it leaves him weakened. Proto Man then arrives to get Duo out of there, and the battle begins. Wily's first form isn't too bad, so it shouldn't give you much trouble. The second form is like a slightly less annoying version of the fight from Mega Man 7, but it's not too difficult either. Once Wily is defeated, the Evo Energy tries to take over Mega Man. Duo arrives and tries to extract the Evo Energy as flashbacks of some of Mega Man's heroic deeds are seen. Once the Evo Energy has been extracted, Duo leaves Mega Man to Proto Man. Mega Man then wakes up later back in Light's lab, where he is told Duo was the one who saved him. The game ends with Proto Man telling him that Duo says thank you, while Mega Man says thank you back into the sunset. Finally, the credits roll to show off some of the winning Robot Master designs sent in by fans, as well as other artwork from the fans too. Now that we've gone over the main game, let's focus on some other aspects. The graphics are pretty good. Like I mentioned earlier, this game has much more fluid animation, and the colors really pop. Capcom were doing some of their best sprite work in the 32-bit era, and this game is no slouch. The sound quality is much improved, especially on the Saturn. However, one thing I should mention is that I noticed the sound effects sound less compressed on the PlayStation, while the music on the Saturn sounds much better. So it's a compromise. You either get better music or sound effects. The voice acting is 90s video game voice acting. The less said, the better. I did notice the cast of this game was also the same cast in Mega Man X4. I don't know if that's cool or lame. Overall, the presentation is pretty good. Earlier, I'd mentioned some of the changes to the gameplay, such as jump physics and swimming. However, there's more to tell. The game is missing recovery items like E-tanks and power-ups like the Super Adapter and Proto Shield. This does make some parts of the game more difficult, but I'll say that Mega Man 8 is significantly easier than other games in the series, and difficulty has less to do with large pits, spike gauntlets, or leaps of faith. On top of that, Rush has really changed. Gone are the regular staples such as Rush Coil or Rush Marine, though we do get Rush Jet for the shoot-'em-up segments. Now we have Rush Cycle for making further jumps, Rush Bomber for dropping bombs on enemies, and Rush Charger which drops health and weapon energy. Then there's Rush Question. Rush seemingly does whatever the hell he wants. Okay. With all that being said, I had to ask myself, would the game be more enjoyable to play through with the enhancements from previous games? Yes, but I still say that many of these things aren't necessary to enjoy the game. I also want to take a moment to talk about the weapons this time around. Like previous games in the series, defeating a Robot Master unlocks new weapons. I've already gone over the Mega Ball, so I won't repeat myself. Probably one of the most useful weapons in the game is the Flash Bombs. What's great about them is the explosion lingers for quite a while and can sometimes double or triple hit their targets. It's also got a decent field of area range, so it's very possible to hit multiple enemies at once. Tornado Hold shoots out a tornado that Mega Man can jump into to reach new heights, almost making up for the lack of Rush Coil. It's also great for hitting enemies in hard to reach places. The Thunderclaw shoots out straight bursts of electric energy in a whip-like fashion and can be used to link onto certain objects. The Ice Wave is, well, a wave of ice that travels across the ground. It can freeze certain things such as the fire shooters. The Flame Sword is exactly what it sounds like, a flaming sword. Its range is super short, but it deals a ton of damage. The Homing Sniper can shoot 2 missiles at the same time and will target the 2 closest enemies, much like the Homing Torpedo in Mega Man X. The Astro Crush is almost like Mega Man's Giga Attack, as it fills the entire screen with comets for a short period of time. Finally, we have probably the most useless weapon in the game, the Water Balloon. It's just a slightly stronger Mega Buster that gets shot in an arc and never hits anything. I'm honestly impressed with the weapon selection this time. Most of the weapons are very useful and break away from the shield and 8-direction firing stereotypical weapons from previous games. Remember earlier I had mentioned bonus mode? This is a mode exclusive to the Collector's Edition on Saturn, which contains official and fan artwork, a voice test, a music test, and a collection of FMVs from the game which you can unlock with a secret code. Nowadays, most of this content is available in Legacy Collection 2, along with extras from other games and challenge modes. One additional thing I need to mention about Legacy Collection 2 is this piece of artwork in the Mega Man 8 art section. This artwork is not from Mega Man 8. It was speculated early on that this is either unused art from the game or new art planted by Capcom for a new Mega Man game. Many sources such as Protodude from the Rockman Corner had pointed out that the digital quality of the image is too new for something that could be produced in the late 90s, and deducted that it must be new art. Months later, in December 2017, we got our answer with the surprise announcement of Mega Man 11, which actually comes out soon. See, my review wasn't late, it's topical. Shut up, Rye Guy. This was something exciting for Mega Man fans, and our excitement paid off with a new game announcement. Many have speculated with the release of Mega Man X Legacy Collections 1 and 2 that a similar Easter egg for a potentially new game is planted somewhere in there as well. We'll just have to wait and see, but for now, let's move on. One reason why you might want to play this on Legacy Collection 2 is that it adds the ability to load from the last checkpoint. This was very useful in capturing footage and for practicing the game before tackling the Saturn version. You can also use extra armor mode to reduce the amount of damage you receive if you're finding the game challenging. Some old school players might scoff at these additions, but for new players, kind of like how CADDICARUS mentioned in his Mega Man 1-10 reviews, "Didn't see that segue come back now, did ya?" It just makes the game more bearable to someone who just wants to play through the game. Honestly, if someone gives you shit about using these features, they're being petty. So the question remains, does Mega Man 8 stack up to the rest of the series? While I love this game, it might be a harder sell for some. Mega Man 7, while different, didn't really change the game feel much, whereas Mega Man 8 may require a new player to feel it out more to get used to its differences. It doesn't surprise me that a lot of gamers are only getting to this one for the first time with its release as part of Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. It's the 9th best-selling game in the series, selling over 900,000 units, though this could be because of its multi-platform and multiple version releases. It did gain enough sales to be considered a PlayStation greatest hit, so there's that. The game not only sold well, but at the time was well received. However, scores are more mixed now, as many of its core features have not held up as much. Most fans I talk to don't even mention this game. It's been somewhat forgotten. However, now on Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, it's got a new life where people are rediscovering it, or discovering it for the first time. Unlike Mega Man 7, Mega Man 8 is available on multiple platforms. The original black box PlayStation and Sega Saturn versions are higher up in price, more so on the latter. However, the Greatest Hits version on PlayStation isn't too hard to find, and goes for around $20 Canadian, as of recording this video. It's also available in the Mega Man Anniversary Collection on PS2, Xbox, and GameCube. Just be aware that the GameCube version messed up the buttons. If you're more of a modern person, it is available as a PlayStation Classic on the PS3 store, and of course, it's part of Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, available on Xbox One, PS4, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Just a heads up on that last one, it's digital only. Even if you buy the physical collection, it's still digital. Just be prepared for that. As you can see, Mega Man 8 is very much available, and I urge you to play it now, especially because it's on the Legacy Collection. And hey, what do you know, maybe I was right. Like I was last time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this review. It's been a year in the making and I'm finally glad it's out. A huge shout out goes to CADDICARUS for cameoing in this review. Honestly, that guy deserves a medal. It was his first day in Canada for EGLX. He was tired, jet lagged, and honestly didn't have to do the stupid thing for my video, but he was such a nice guy and I'm so happy he agreed to it. I'm a proud patron of his work. Go check him out. Speaking of Patreon, I opened up a Patreon finally, so if you love what I do, head on over and consider supporting my videos. I'd appreciate it, but no pressure here. If you'd like to see more videos from me, hit that subscribe button and hit the bell hopefully to get notifications on my uploads. Follow me on social media on Facebook at Zeromaster fanpage, follow me on Twitter at Zeromaster, backers of my Patreon will get video updates, and I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/ZeromasterLP. And if you're still hungry for more videos, why not check out my last review on Kid Trip for the Switch? On the right, I'll have my pal SCXCR's new video on the not Seiken Densetsu retrospective on Secret of Evermore. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.